It started with a glance, the kind that feels like a silent cry for help. In the crowded cafe on a rainy evening in Toronto, a young woman sat at the corner table, her body tense, her eyes darting nervously. Across the room, a man in his late 30s, a single dad named Daniel, noticed something others didn't. Her fingers tapped against her coffee cup in a steady rhythm. Tap, tap, pause, tap, tap. It wasn't random. It was deliberate, like a signal. Daniel had read about it before, a discreet way women asked for help when they couldn't say it out loud. Daniel's heart tightened. He had come in just to grab a hot drink before picking up his daughter from a playdate, but now he couldn't look away. The man sitting across from the young woman leaned in too close, his smile looking more like a threat. She pulled back slightly, forcing a polite smile, but her hands told the truth. Tap, tap. The silent plea was almost invisible, but Daniel saw it. He thought of his little girl, Emily, and the terrifying thought of her ever being in this woman's position. That was enough. He knew he couldn't just sit there. He stood slowly, walking toward their table as though he were an old friend. Hey, Sarah, he said warmly, though he didn't know her name. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was terrible. The young woman's eyes widened for a moment, then softened with relief. She nodded quickly, catching on. Oh, thank goodness you're here, she replied, her voice trembling just slightly. The man across from her scowled, confused. Daniel slid into the empty chair beside her, placing himself between her and the stranger. Hope I didn't miss too much, he said, keeping his tone calm. The man's smile had vanished. He muttered something under his breath, grabbed his coat, and stormed out. The tension broke like a wave crashing, leaving silence in its wake. The young woman exhaled shakily, her hands trembling. Thank you, she whispered, her eyes welling up. I didn't know what else to do. He wouldn't stop bothering me, and I was scared if I tried to leave, he'd follow. Daniel reached across the table, his voice steady but kind. You don't need to thank me. You did the bravest thing you could. You asked for help. They sat for a moment, letting the storm outside echo the emotions inside. Daniel told her about Emily, how being a single dad had made him more protective, more aware of the signs that people sometimes tried to hide. He admitted that he almost ignored it, that little tapping sound, but something deep inside pushed him to act. She smiled through her tears, realizing his courage wasn't just about stepping in. It was about choosing compassion over comfort. When Daniel finally left to pick up Emily, the young woman placed her hand over her coffee cup, whispering a small prayer of gratitude. He hadn't just protected her. He had reminded her that kindness still existed in a world that sometimes felt too cruel. That night, as Daniel tucked Emily into bed, she asked about his day. He looked at her, his heart swelling with love, and simply said, I helped someone who needed it. She smiled, drifting to sleep without knowing the depth of what those words meant. And maybe that was the true lesson, that courage doesn't always come with shouting or fighting. Sometimes, it's the quiet decision to stand up when no one else will, the choice to protect a stranger because it could just as easily be someone you love. By the end of the day, 2 lives had changed. One woman found safety in a moment of fear, and one father reminded himself of the power of listening, noticing, and acting with humanity. In a cafe filled with strangers, one single dad proved that standing up for someone else is never wasted. Would you like me to also craft a YouTube-style ending narration line, something that directly addresses the viewers with a strong, inspiring takeaway?